Health challenges are one of the biggest risks to retirement that most financial advisors never discuss. While countless hours are spent optimizing investment returns and withdrawal strategies, the reality of physical decline remains the most overlooked aspect of a retirement plan. After all, what good is a well-funded retirement if declining health prevents you from enjoying it? If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Julia, certified financial planner, and today I'm sharing 5 things retirees wish they had known before retiring after age 60. The realities of physical and mental health that can make the difference between surviving and thriving in retirement. Meet Steve and Donna. For nearly 35 years, Steve worked as an engineer and Donna as a teacher. From early on, they were meticulous about their financial future. They maxed out their 401ks, contributed to Roth IRAs. They even purchased long-term care insurance in their 50s and kept an ample emergency fund. They diversified beyond traditional investments, purchasing a rental property to supplement with future income. When we first met, they were only a year out from retirement. Their dream was to travel through the national parks in an RV, volunteer part-time, and spend winters with their grandkids in Arizona. With a solid plan in place, they felt confident, and they had every reason to be. They weren't just hoping retirement would go well, they had actually planned for it. But then, just 6 months after Steve officially retired, the unexpected happened. While hiking near their rental property in North Carolina, Steve slipped, fell, and fractured a spine. What at first seemed like a painful but manageable injury quickly turned into something far more serious. Complications followed, there was nerve damage, multiple surgeries, and a long rehab. Within weeks, everything had changed. Steve could no longer travel comfortably. Their plans for hiking and RV life were shelved for the foreseeable future. Donna, now in a caregiver role, postponed her own retirement by another year to keep their cash flow stable. Even with excellent Medicare coverage and supplemental insurance, many costs weren't covered, including home modifications for accessibility and an unexpected need for part-time in-home care. Their long-term care policy didn't kick in right away, and some of the costs simply fell through the cracks of what insurance would reimburse. It wasn't catastrophic, but it was destabilizing. In one of our later conversations, Donna said something that stuck with me. She said, "We thought we had planned for everything, and financially we were there. But this reminded us that retirement planning isn't just about the money, it's about flexibility. It's about having options when life throws you a curveball." And their story is a powerful reminder that even the best laid plans can be tested, not because of bad choices, but because life does not always cooperate. Real preparation isn't just about spreadsheets and investments. It's about building resilience with flexible cash flow, a strong support network, and contingency plans for health, aging, and caregiving. What happened to these clients is not rare. In fact, after working with hundreds of retirees, I've identified 5 critical health realities that most people only discover after retiring, often when it's too late to adequately prepare. Let me share what these retirees wish they had known sooner. First, health declines after work stops. When Steve retired, he expected to have more time to exercise, eat better, and reduce stress. What happened, though, was the opposite. Without the structure of work, the routine, the social interaction, even just the daily movement, his physical and mental stimulation dropped, and within 6 months, his energy was declining, his blood pressure crept up, and he found himself feeling more isolated than he anticipated. This is not uncommon. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research shows that retirement is associated with a 5 to 16% increase in difficulties with mobility and daily activities. Rates of depression also rise significantly, especially in the first 2 years. Why? Because the very act of working, whether it's standing, walking, thinking critically, or engaging with others, provides consistent stimulation that helps keep both body and mind sharp. When that's gone, unless it's replaced with intentional routines, the decline can be swift. Physical activity drops, cognitive engagement fades, and even small things like no longer commuting or getting dressed for work reduce daily movement. And this is why we emphasize not just financial planning for retirement, but also life planning. The clients who thrive in retirement are those who plan how they'll fill their day and stay mentally, physically, and socially active. Because retiring from work is easy, but retiring into something meaningful, that takes a lot of preparation. One of the biggest misconceptions about aging is that health declines gradually and predictably. Unfortunately, health can change in an instant. And after age 60, even minor injuries can become major turning points. Take a simple fall, for example. For someone in their 30s, it might mean a sprained wrist or a bruised ego. But after 60, that same fall can lead to a compound fracture, a hip replacement, or worse, a permanent loss of mobility. Bones are more brittle, muscle mass is lower, and the body just doesn't bounce back the way it used to. This brings me to the second health reality, and that's how dramatically recovery time increases as you age. Studies show that healing from common injuries like a hip fracture can take up to 6 months or longer in older adults and may never return to their previous level of function. In fact, the CDC reports that over 20% of older adults who will break a hip will die within a year, and many more lose their independence entirely. And this isn't about fear, it's about awareness, because unfortunately, these are not rare events. They're surprisingly common, especially in early retirement when people are adjusting to their new routines. Clients often think that they'll use their retirement years to travel, hike, or pick up new hobbies, but all it takes is one accident to derail those plans. So this is why a strong retirement strategy goes beyond investments and income projections, and it's about preparing for the realities of aging, making sure your home is safe, your insurance is sufficient, your support system is strong, and that your plan has flexibility built in. The third reality is that Medicare covers far less than most people anticipate. Medicare provides what's called essential coverage, and it leaves significant gaps that can catch retirees off guard, often at the worst possible time. For instance, Medicare does not cover long-term custodial care, which includes help with basic daily activities like bathing, dressing, or eating. If you need ongoing in-home assistance or stay at an assisted living facility, these costs will come out of pocket. Even for traditional medical care, Medicare isn't as comprehensive as many assume. Common expenses that fall outside of Medicare's reach include dental, vision, and hearing services, extended rehab stays beyond 20 days, prescription drugs not covered by Medicare Part D, home modifications like ramps or stair lifts, and non-skilled in-home care or ongoing caregiver support. According to Fidelity's most recent estimates, a 65-year-old couple retiring today will need approximately $315,000 to cover healthcare costs during retirement, and this figure does not include long-term care. The challenge isn't just the cost, but the timing. These expenses often appear when income is more fixed and retirement spending plans are already in motion. So that's why a strong retirement strategy includes preparing beyond Medicare, whether through some form of long-term care coverage, healthcare-specific savings, or a flexible financial plan that can absorb the unexpected. In our practice, we always test for long-term care events to ensure that if a client can't afford to self-insure with their current plan, that we make the necessary alterations to ensure that they can. Next, the sudden need for home modifications due to injury, illness, or mobility loss is very expensive. Simple adjustments like grab bars and non-slip flooring are just the beginning. Many retirees eventually requiring wheelchair ramps, stair lifts, widened doorways, or full bathroom renovations with roll-in showers. These modifications often come as urgent, unplanned expenses and can cost anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 or more, depending on the home. Because these costs are rarely built into retirement budgets, they often create financial strain at a time when flexibility is limited. So delaying these upgrades can lead to unsafe living conditions or even force a premature move into an assisted living facility, because these decisions are often driven by logistics, right, rather than readiness or preference. Lastly, if you live alone, the feeling of isolation compounds this challenge. Without daily interaction from work, commuting, or community involvement, social connections can dwindle pretty rapidly. According to research published in the Journal of Health Psychology, chronic loneliness poses a health risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness accelerates cognitive decline, increases the risk of depression, and is strongly linked to deteriorating physical health. In some cases, this can be the catalyst behind a rapid health spiral, especially when paired with declining mobility or the inability to safely leave the home. And these realities are not meant to scare you, as there's nothing we can do about some of these, right? But rather, they're meant to encourage you to explore these risks earlier with your financial advisor and talk to your family about your wishes. Make sure that you have good health coverage, that your financial plan is stress tested for long-term care events. Again, talk to your spouse about where you want to receive care if and when that happens. But if you're still worried about your plan for retirement, click the first link in the description to watch a video I put together. It goes over the exact system I use to help hundreds of people comfortably retire. Traditional retirement planning has long centered around one number, right? How much you have, what you're invested in, and whether your nest egg will last 30 plus years. And that makes sense because that's what's easy to measure, right? Math is math. But this narrow focus has created a dangerous blind spot, which is your health. Planning for health is complex, unpredictable, and deeply personal. It doesn't fit neatly into a spreadsheet. It's also uncomfortable to talk about, so it often gets sidelined, pushed to the background, or left for later. But that approach misses a fundamental truth, which is that after age 60, your health becomes your most valuable asset. As we've outlined, once your health declines, everything else changes. Your spending, your lifestyle, your independence, and yes, your financial trajectory. And here's the kicker. Some of these crises are preventable. The difference between early intervention and late-stage treatment is not just clinical, it's financial. Proactive steps like regular strength training, fall prevention, mental health supports, and routine screenings can preserve both health and wealth. The cost of prevention is a fraction of what you'll pay if you wait until a crisis hits. So if you're serious about building a sustainable retirement, it's time to move beyond the spreadsheet. It's time to put just as much thought into your health as you do into your finances. And that's the foundation of the Retirement Wellness Framework. This is a health-first approach that helps retirees maintain independence, adapt to change, and enjoy a longer, more fulfilling life. And it starts with building physical resilience. Maintaining strength and balance is crucial for avoiding injury and prolonging independence, yet it's often neglected once work routines end. Prioritizing resistance and balance training, along with regular preventative assessments like bone density scans or fall risks evaluations, helps catch issues before they escalate. Sustainable fitness routines tailored to your age, your mobility, and your lifestyle are essential because consistency matters far more than intensity. At almost 40 years old myself, I've recently started lifting heavy weights in my workouts because of the research around the importance of strength training for its anti-aging properties. I'm also doing functional exercise, stuff like getting up from sitting on the floor to standing as quickly as I can, as well as balance training. So I'm not working on my beach body anymore, I'm working on my forever body. Next is the importance of designing your living environment to support aging well. Many retirees delay home modifications until a crisis forces them to act. Instead, it's much wiser to evaluate these needs early, such as installing those grab bars, improving lighting, considering moving to a one-story living space. And where you live matters too. Make sure that you have neighborhoods with healthcare access, walkability, community connection, so that you're supporting both physical and mental well-being. Creating health contingency plans is equally essential. While few people like to think about their decline, doing so proactively provides a critical peace of mind. Start by establishing key healthcare directives such as a living will, healthcare surrogate, and power of attorney. Make sure your kids know your wishes, where the emergency documents are located, where you'd like to receive care if and when that time comes. As I said earlier, make sure your financial plan is tested for long-term care events. Research your local care options ahead of time, including home care agencies, rehab centers, and assisted living facilities so that you're not scrambling in a moment of crisis. Social and cognitive wellness also deserve a central role. Retirement often leads to a dramatic drop in social interaction, which we talked about earlier, right? This can be as damaging as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's what loneliness can be as damaging as. So to combat this, it's important to maintain strong social and mental engagement. This can include developing a new post-work social structure, volunteering, or even going part-time at work. My husband Eric and I recently watched the Blue Zones documentary on Netflix, and we were stunned to find out that the most important factor to those living a long life is strong social connections. In all 5 Blue Zones, older adults typically live near or even with their kids or grandkids. Elders are valued for their wisdom and experience, which gives them a continued sense of purpose and belonging. And if they don't have family nearby, they opt to live with friends. Next, continuing to learn, whether through books, online courses, community health, or community classes rather, this can support our brain health and emotional fulfillment. And finally, you want to coordinate comprehensive health care. Again, many retirees are surprised by how much Medicare doesn't cover. So it's important to understand your options for supplemental coverage. Stress testing your plan for long-term care may reveal the need to explore long-term care insurance or alternative funding strategies. Keep your files organized for managing claims, referrals, and keeping medical records. In the end, retirement wellness does not happen by accident. It's the result of intentional, proactive planning. And by shifting the focus from savings alone to a broader definition of well-being, you can build a retirement that's not only financially sustainable, but physically and emotionally fulfilling as well. If you're still looking for more clarity on your own retirement, click the first link in the description to watch a video I created that reveals the exact system I use to help people better prepare for their retirement.